Writing realities. The hero of your story isn't always necessarily a good person. Now, you might have heard people say that the villain is the hero of their own story, but the hero is the villain of somebody else's story too. If you were to read the Percy Jackson series from the point of view of Luke or Kronos, Percy Jackson is the villain. He's what's standing in the way of what they want and what they need to accomplish. But that being said, I wanted to talk about an example of a character that I'm writing right now. And while she is technically the protagonist and the hero of this series that I'm hoping to write, she is an extremely flawed person whose POV does not line up with my own. And yet she is a very interesting character, very interesting to read and to write. So a flawed character makes for an interesting story. I think we know that because it gives the opportunity for a character to change and grow and have different outcomes throughout the series. Because if you know who this person is, you kind of know what the outcomes are going to be if there's no room for growth. So this particular character that I'm working on, her major fatal flaw is that she thinks that she is better than everyone else, that she is smarter than everyone else, that she is more capable. But ultimately, at her core, she is part of this colonizer family. Her family came from another country to the fantasy country that they're in now 300 years ago and declared themselves the leaders and never left. And while that was that many years ago, she is still an active member of this family, and whether she wants to admit it or not, is actively participating in upholding this system. And it doesn't matter how nice she thinks she is, how much effort she thinks she's making into learning the different languages of the people, of getting involved with the people, of practicing their religion. She thinks she's so different because she's doing all of these things, but ultimately she's doing this while still upholding this system of oppression. And we see this in interactions with people that are staff, that are paid by her family to work. She, in her mind, considers these people her friends. But from her point of view, you can start to see that you don't really get to know anything about these people outside of who they are to her. Some of them, she doesn't even know their last names. She just knows them by their first name. And so she thinks these are my friends. Oh, I treat them so much better than most people treat them. But she really doesn't know anything about them. She also talks about how much she loves her sisters, but then she'll turn around and talk about how frivolous they are and how silly, and she doesn't like the things that they like because she doesn't think that they hold value, and the only things that hold value are the things that she likes or that she thinks are important. So she'll be like, oh, I love them, but they're idiots and they're obsessed with beauty and makeup. Well, I am so great because I really like learning and sword fighting and whatever else she does. And she genuinely believes this, and she never says it out loud. She would go to her sisters and be like, oh, you're an idiot. But it's clear in the way that she thinks about them when she sees them, or the way she reflects back on interactions and things like that. This is a genuine belief that she holds. She also tries to present herself as so much different, and I don't want to be a princess. I'm not that kind of person. But she's incredibly entitled, because as soon as something doesn't go her way or someone's trying to stop her from doing something, she will pull the how dare you, I'm a princess card so that they can't do that. Her big fight is to protect the country, protect the people. There are external threats that are threatening to take over the country and enslave the people and do all of these things. And she wants to stop that, which ultimately, on surface level, seems like a good thing. But she only considers this by thinking of herself as the better option, by thinking, okay, how do I take over? How do I replace these people? Because my plan is the right plan. She never once considers giving up her royal status or returning the land to the people, or consulting even with the people to be what do you want? What should we do? She's no, I've got it all figured out. I know what's best for everyone. She's very much stuck in this concept of I would be better, and not none of us really deserve this. So she has this genuine belief on one hand that she's helping and she's good and she wants to protect people, but in the bigger picture, she's presenting the same problems, just repackaged with her in control. And so there's this question that like looms throughout the story. Is she a bad person, or is she just a product of her environment? Because she's been very isolated. She is very naive. She thinks she's very educated and she knows these things, but she's never left the country. She's not even really allowed to leave the palace very often. So everything that she knows, she's learned from books or from professors or from her father. So it's a very limited worldview that she has because she doesn't have the exposure. She doesn't have the life experience, even though she's convinced that she does. So she is the hero, but she's not a perfect person. And we consider, like, is she actually the best of this bad situation? Maybe. But even if she is the best in this bad situation, she's still upholding some really problematic systems. And so as a writer, I can write her and be going, because I'm not agreeing with her thoughts or her approaches, but it's also incredibly interesting to write her with that potential of growth. What can we make happen that's going to change her mind? What's going to make happen that's going to change her approach or her perception? Is she going to miraculously turn everything around and become this different person? No, but there is opportunity for growth and change within this character for the greater good.